Hi, I'm attorney Greg Dell, back with attorney Cesar Gavidia, and we're going to talk about Hartford Insurance Company, and this was a former Aetna claim, which we know Hartford took over Aetna, and this is going to be about a resolved case that you were successful for, a claimant who was denied benefits by the Hartford. And in this video, I'd like to talk about the background of the case, definition of disability, how you were able to be successful, and then provide tips for claimants so that they can learn from this video about things that they could do to hopefully avoid denial, or if they've been denied, some steps they can take in an appeal to help get benefits reinstated. So tell us first about the background, occupation, definition of disability that was going on in this particular claim.
So with this client, Greg, she was actually approved for benefits over 14, 15 years ago, back in 2006. And she at the time had filed for disability due to degenerative disc issues in her neck and in her lower back, and also from radiculopathy. In other words, she was having these symptoms coming down into her fingers, into her hands,
in 2006.
In 2006.
So she must have got better in 2021.
She must have made a miraculous turnaround,
right?
Because in 2000 and actually I think it was 20,
yeah.
They decided they're going to terminate the claim and stop her benefits that she'd been receiving for many years.
On what basis?
They basically decided they're going to do a medical review, and based on that medical review, internal medical review, and that's why they're so dangerous, because even after so long, even after being on claim for so many years, they could still basically decide that you're no longer eligible for benefits, and that's exactly what they did.
Now that we're talking, I know what happened. This is a Hartford takeover. This was an Aetna claim that probably would have never been disturbed. Hartford got on, new people on the claim, and now we're going to review it, fresh look at it. And what did their fresh look involve? What did they physically do?
They didn't send her to an exam, at least not right away. They first started with the medical review, and apparently that medical review didn't come out too favorably, because then they did decide to send her to an IME, independent medical exam, by a neurologist. And that neurologist, basically, in conducting their examination, which, I wish that she'd had the ability to have someone there with her, either someone there to take notes, or if they would have allowed for a videographer there with her to really document the entire examination, because it was really unclear what he did. He could say basically whatever he wants to say on a piece of paper, say he did this, he moved this, he tested this, but there's no real way to verify that, and you're taking them at their word. And then he found basically she's capable of functioning or working in a light sedentary job.
And what was the definition of disability? What did you have to prove?
So in this policy, it's a little different than most group policies, and it was probably issued over 20 years ago to her employer, who was Westinghouse Electronics at the time. And this policy had a 12-month own occupation period. So that means by 2007, Hartford had already determined that she was totally disabled from her own occupation and any occupation.
What did she do for them, for Westinghouse?
She was a manager. She was a project manager. They were working on projects, overseeing employees, a really high-skilled job.
And was she ever approved for Social Security disability?
She was approved for Social Security disability a few years after she was approved for her LTD benefits with Hartford,
and was Aetna. Hartford taking a deduction out of her monthly benefit
every month, and probably claim back an overpayment
of the Social Security
benefits that she received, right?
Okay, so they do an IME exam, they had done an internal review, and then she hired you after being denied, obviously.
Yeah, but before we even got there, before she even hired us, and before they even denied her, they'd offered her a buyout about 2 or 3 years before, and as you know.
But that was from Aetna.
That was from Aetna.
Before the Hartford Aetna
takeover.
In
2017, they offered her that
just before
that buyout.
Right.
So it was a large 6-figure buyout. So for a company to do that, when they're doing their review for that, they're basically saying, we're going to be paying this person out to 65. The medical records here support this is never going to get better. I mean, 14, 15 years of payments, I think they felt pretty confident of that, which is why they offered her that settlement, which she declined.
And that was in the claim file, or she told you about it?
No, that's something that we discovered when we went through the claim file to do her appeal, because we brought that point up.
Okay. So at least between 2006 and 2017, Aetna at the time agreed, you're disabled and we think we're going to pay you for the foreseeable future. Someone with half a brain gets on the claim in 2020 and says, "Oh, I'm going to hire, hired gun doctor, and he's going to examine you and get this report." So you have the typical nonsense tools that Hartford uses to deny a claim, even though in this one they deny me, which sometimes they don't. So you got their hired gun doctor, their internal doctor. What do you do?
So we basically attacked the report, the IME report. We had her sent to a functional capacity exam and had that conducted, which established, the extent of the limitations she had. We felt it was far more thorough than the IME that they had done. Not to mention it was very credible based on every single task that this therapist put her through. It was very well documented and described within their report. So we did that. We did a vocational assessment, which invalidated the 2 occupations. They said basically she could go back to being a manager. I mean, so that is what the denial was over. It wasn't even just an any gainful occupation denial. It was essentially an own occupation denial.
Right.
Because they identified 2 occupations saying she could earn, $10,000 to $12,000 a month performing these occupations. And their management position, the same thing she was doing before she became disabled.
You know what I love? I don't love it. What's so ridiculous is that I know I've had clients like that, and they say to me, "Greg, they said I could do a job $12,000 a month. Get me the job. Get me the job. If I can do it, where I can come in when I want. The days I feel good, I'm happy to go. The days I don't, I won't work. The appointments I have to cancel, I'll cancel. If I can stay home all day long and just pick up the phone and do whatever I want, and if you need me, I'll get back to you the next day." And they want to pay me $12,000 a month. Fantastic. Who is going to hire me when I send my resume and say I haven't worked in 15 years because I can't commit to any job, I have a good day, a bad day?
Well, that was one of the points that we brought up, was that, she's been out of the workforce so long that even if she was to go back, I mean, companies are using different software and different programs and a totally different data analytics from what they were using, 15 years ago. I mean, it's not even the same system that they're using. I mean, a lot of these places, for example, with Westinghouse themselves, could be using robotics and different things that she didn't even, see back then.
It's just so ridiculous that they come up and say, "Oh, $10,000, $12,000 a job." The claimant's getting, $7,000 a month. They'd love to have $12,000 a month if they could and be able to do the job. Otherwise, they wouldn't be not working. So anyhow, so you had this whole vocational report, and I mean, tell us everything that you ended up putting together and submitting.
So once we basically pulled in all of these pieces of evidence that we felt were going to be very, very influential and strongly support the disability claim. And the way that we put together the appeals, at least the way I do, and my team does, is we make it look like a legal brief being submitted to the federal court. It's got, everything is kind of set up in that, and structured and formatted in that way. And we pulled together all these exhibits. We pulled together all the records, and I mean, they were extensive. I mean, imagine how many years of records we had to pull in, and the claim file itself was huge.
5,000 pages minimum.
It was a tremendous file.
Right.
Tremendous file, and basically that was what we put together, submitted to Hartford for them to overturn the decision and for us to prevail on it. And it didn't take long. It was about, I think it was a month or 2 into their review. I don't even think they asked for really much additional time.
I'm so annoyed by this one. It's just so, no matter what, the insurance company gets an opinion from whoever they hire and they say there's no restrictions, limitations, and it's like the person is completely freaking brain dead at that point. It doesn't matter that they take the next step and say, "Well, I see what you're saying. Is there any reason that I should challenge this or ask the claimant something differently or send a question back to the doctor?" Like, it's 15 years. How did the person get better? How did they not get worse? You're talking about, you said degenerative disc disease in the neck and the back.
And 2 surgeries.
And 2 surgeries. I mean, that is fundamentally, scientifically proven. Everyone in the world agrees your degenerative changes don't get better. They get worse over time. So this person had no opportunity. It's one thing 1 year, 2 years, 15 years, the person's clearly undisputably worse. So it's embarrassing for Hartford in this one that they just, can even listen to anyone that they would send out who would say.
It almost seems like the doctor on their end is just flipping a coin. Am I going to deny it or am I going to approve it? And it's kind of fixed coin that's always going to land one way.
You know, the other thing is to maybe throw the doctor a bone that he wasn't as evil as his report may have been. He may not have even known that this is about not a person who can get out of bed or do activities of daily living. This is a person who has to commit to an employer 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, without issue.
And that's something that I see that they don't really consider very much. They don't consider that there's also got to be a certain level of reliability from them. How are they going to be reliable when they're taking OxyContin 3 times a day, or having to, visit their doctors, probably once every week or two? I mean, there's not many employers that are going to accommodate all of that.
Right, and nobody would hire this particular person, unfortunately. Maybe a little side project here or there that she could take 2-3 weeks to do or whatever, that's fine. But that's not the reality of what was going on. That's not what her job was, and not even what the type of job that Hartford even suggested.
Right.
So, well, congratulations on winning this one. Hopefully this claimant won't be experiencing any more of these issues, and possibly another buyout comes down the road. If the claimant wants that option, certainly you could approach them now, but obviously she didn't want one, not always necessarily in the client's best interest, and she didn't take one back then and probably doesn't want one now. But I know you'll continue to protect those benefits on a monthly basis, and probably encourage the client to be a little more proactive in the medical treatment and make sure that everything is really documented well, so that if Hartford comes along again, which they will, to review the claims, that everything will look fantastic so that she can continue to get benefits paid. So if you have a Hartford long-term disability insurance claim, feel free to reach out to Cesar, myself. No matter where you live in the country, we'd love the opportunity to talk to you. We always provide a free initial consultation to answer all of your questions, and we look forward to speaking with you. Hi, I'm Gregory Dell, the managing attorney of Dell Disability Lawyers, and I hope you find the video you just watched helpful. We put these videos out all of the time, and we'd love if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Beyond our videos on our YouTube channel, we also have lots of information available on our website at diattorney.com, and we encourage you to come to our website. The goal is that we want you to be educated about the disability insurance process, and when you get to our website, you'll see that we have information all about your specific disability insurance company, your occupation, and your medical condition. And we've designed our website such that you can easily search our website to find things that you may specifically be looking for. Now, at our website, we have thousands and thousands of pages of information, hundreds of videos that you can search, plus we're building a section of reviews of all the disability insurance companies, and we have the Ask Our Lawyer section where you can go ahead and ask us any questions that you may have. Now, we realize that you may not need us right now, but you may need us in the future to help you with your disability claim, and we think one of the best ways to keep in touch is by clicking the button below and subscribing to our channel. And most importantly, again, no matter where you live in the country, we're always available. Just go ahead and give us a call. We're happy to discuss your claim and let you know immediately if we can help you.